Hello and welcome back to the Irish Billionaire experiment. This time in part 3 we've gone another 5 years in the future and have gone to see exactly what's happened in Ireland over the course of those years. Now if we go straight to the Irish Premier League, then we can click here because Dundalk have had their manager fired by looks of things, so we can go quickly to the Irish Premier League and we can see there's been absolutely a lot more domination from Cork City. Winning it almost every year. This past season though, St Pat's Athletic got the win, so the first time in must be nearly 10 years I think if we scroll down here, first time in nearly 10 years that Cork City haven't won the league. They've been succumbed to the title by St Pat's Athletic. Interestingly, the Irish Premier League looking very, very volatile, but finishing at the moment 15th in the European competition rankings, so just ahead of the Championship, which is pretty cool, but still behind the Norwegian Premier League and the Greek Super League and things like that. It's currently 15th though, but had a time at 14th for a little while before dropping down to 17th or 19th even, and then was up to 17th and then up to 15th. So it's been up and down quite a bit, but hopefully the Irish Premier League will be on the up from now on. Let's go and have a look at the league table then for the past few seasons. If we go back to the 2025 season, Cork City winning it by a long margin from St Pat's Athletic, who are establishing themselves as the second best team in Ireland at the moment. A very similar story the season afterwards, Dundalk, Shamrock Rovers and Derry City this time making out the top 5. Also, by looks of things, there's another Champions League spot as well. It looks like there's 2 Champions League spots now and 3 Europa League spots, so that's pretty cool as well. Season afterwards, Cork City winning it from Dundalk this time. St Pat's finishing on level points with Derry City actually, but having a superior goal difference to finish 3rd overall, with Shamrock Rovers finishing down in 5th. Season afterwards, Cork City once again obviously winning it, 20 points ahead of St Pat's Athletic, with Dundalk in 3rd, Shamrock Rovers in 4th and Bohemians this time making it into the top 5, rounding it off. And then the season we've just had, St Pat's come from nowhere to win the league for an 85 points from Cork City on 79 points, one of the lowest points totals for a long time for Cork City. Dundalk finishing 3rd, Shamrock in 4th, and Derry City sort of establishing themselves as the 5th, 6th best team in Ireland now. Sligo Rovers sliding down a little bit and things like that, so that's interesting to see. If we look at the league below as well, we'll see what's happened there. We'll go back to 2025 season again. Athlone Town winning it from Doggy United, because they've still not worked out how to say that name yet. Then Waterford winning it the season afterwards from Shelburne. UCD finishing in a highest ever finish of 6th. Hopefully one day they'll become a new Cardiff Met University and nearly win the Europa League or something like that. But they're starting to make their way up now, which is quite cool to see. Season afterwards, Finn Harps getting themselves promoted. Shelburne once again finishing 2nd. They've not been very lucky. They've had a lot of 2nd place finishes. I don't think they've ever been promoted though throughout this experiment. They have. They got promoted once, and actually that wasn't during this experiment, but during the experiment they have been promoted in the season. The very last season, so we'll see that in a second. The 2028 season, of course, getting themselves promoted there. Well done, Shelburne. Finally, Athlone Town being relegated the season before, nearly bouncing straight back up, but couldn't quite do it for themselves. And then they did do it the next season, finishing on 74 points. Athlone Town. Did Shelburne get relegated last season? Then, if we look, yeah, they got relegated. Finished on 12 points. Bless them. At least they tried. Right, let's look at some of these big transfers then, going back to 2025, and Cork City once again spending big, bringing in players like Jack Grealish, for example, Chet Keita from Birmingham to St Pat's, Ryan Sessegnon, Liam Kelly coming in, some really, really big names actually for English leagues, and they're coming into Ireland, which is pretty cool to see. Callum Camps playing for LA Galaxy. Now this is a weird one because he plays for me at the moment in Lincoln City, in my Lincoln City save, which I recommend you go check out. He's had a bit of an odd career. I signed him from Rochdale, but obviously this has gone from Rochdale to Celtic, and Celtic to LA Galaxy, which is an odd move, but then an even odder move, LA Galaxy to Dundalk, and then you could argue a very strange move as well to then Mines, and then to Genoa. So, I mean, what a career he's had, this little lad, you know, fair play to him. He's made himself a worldwide journeyman, I suppose, but has an interesting career, definitely, to say the least. 26 season then, Lucas Smith being the biggest signing from West Ham, 42 million, but sold very later on in the season for less than half what they bought him for. So a big markdown there due to the league's reputation and things like that. More big transfers coming in though, some from Premier League sides and things like that. So that's good to see for the league. It means obviously it's getting better if they're signing players from Premier League teams. The 2027 season, the biggest transfer was, of course, Cork City. Boyd Leedsman from Arsenal. I presume he is a regen. I've not heard that name before. Dutch regen. Looks fairly alright. We'll have a little look at his attributes there. He's not the best player in the world, obviously, but 150 current ability, 153 potential ability. That's pretty decent, to be fair, I suppose, for the Irish League. And a lot of these players coming in from Premier League stuff now into Cork City mainly. And the odd player leaving to go elsewhere, but nothing too major there. The next season, 45 million spent on Connor Joyce from Arsenal. Once again, a lot of Arsenal players coming to Cork City, which is interesting there. But he comes in as a central defender, also looking very good. If we look at his attributes, potential of 158, so slightly better than the guy we just saw, but not a massive improvement. Probably not worth that much money either, but it's kind of money they've got to pay if they want to bring these players into these kind of things. And just Cork City spending a lot of money, once again, an awful lot of money. I don't know why they seem to spend it all, but they just seem to do. Season afterwards, once again, it's just Cork. St Pat's up there as well with some big transfers, but just no one seems to be able to compete with Cork City. And that season we just had as well, 32 million, rising to 41 million spent there from a player from Bournemouth, an attacking midfielder there. Has he played very well this season? He's played most games, played very well actually, to be fair to him. So I'll give him that. But a regular starter in the Premier League, so that's interesting that they're coming back to they're coming over to the Irish Premier League, regular Premier League starters. Right, let's have a look at how Cork have done then. If we go back to the 2025 season, strong down here in the Champions League, all the way qualifying until they get to the playoffs, where they beat FK Austria Wien to get into the Champions League group stage as the first Irish team to do so since the start of this experiment. Come against Juventus, Shakhtar and Monaco, losing all three of those games. Pick up 2 wins actually in the second round of games, but lose to Juventus. Would that be enough to get them? It was enough to get them into the Euro Cup first knockout round, where they beat Anderlecht overall 4-2 on aggregate. Then went against ARZ and won 3-2 on aggregate, which is pretty cool, before coming against Tottenham in the quarterfinals and then unfortunately losing 6-1 on aggregate there. But that is a splendid display there from the Cork City boys, getting to the quarterfinals of the Europa League before being knocked out by Tottenham. That is a fantastic achievement. Season afterwards then, once again getting to the group stage of the Champions League after overcoming quite a few sides. Olympiacos being the named one really, I suppose, in the playoffs there. They came up against Man City, Leverkusen and Inter Milan, losing all 3 of those games. They picked up a win against Man City at home, but lost the other 2 games, which I presume wasn't enough to send them through. It wasn't, unfortunately. Season afterwards, once again, fighting those Champions League places all the way through into the group stage once again, with wins over Dynamo Kiev, a loss to Juventus and a loss to Tottenham, and then 2 losses and a draw in the next round. Was enough actually to put them through into the first knockout round. I guess Dynamo Kiev had an awful qualifying. So they beat. I'm sorry about that. They didn't beat them. They lost to Seville, unfortunately, 5-1 on aggregate in the first knockout round. But at least they get into the knockout stages now, which is pretty cool to see. Season afterwards, once again, get into the Champions League group stages. They're consistently getting there now, which is really cool. Hopefully, we'll see in the next few years a bit more development, and they'll get into the knockout stages of the Champions League instead. But they lose to Leverkusen, Atletico Madrid, and Porto, and do the exact same thing in the second part, which means they didn't qualify at all for the next stage, which is unfortunate as we look up here. No more qualification. And then the season we just had, knocked out by Ludogorets in the Champions League second qualifying round, but make it into the Europa League group stages. And a win against Molde, a draw against FC, and a draw against Club Bruges, followed with a loss against Braga, and then a draw and a win. Is potentially put them second, but it's touch and go, I think, in their group right now to see if they actually qualify. So we'll find out next time if they do or not. But a very, very impressive showing from Cork City, reaching the quarterfinals of the Europa League, which is fantastic. That is the best we've seen so far. I wonder if anyone else is going to be able to emulate that. If we look down at St Pat's then, back to the 2025 season, they lose at the first hurdle against Basakir, a name I've probably just butchered there as well, in the Euro Cup third qualifying round. Season afterwards, not anything, so I presume they must have had some sort of financial issues there, because they did finish in the top few teams there. Season afterwards, though, 2027 season, getting through into the Euro Cup group stages there, beating FK Austria Wien, losing to Krasnodar and losing to Borussia Mönchengladbach, but 2 wins and a draw in the next stage must have put them through into the knockout stages. It did, but unfortunately they lost 6-2 to Athletic Bilbao, over 2 legs there in the first knockout round, which wasn't great. They went back into it though, straight through into the group stages once again. They got themselves all the way through, but lost to Lyon, a draw with Spartak Moscow, and a draw with a team that I'm not even going to try and pronounce there, followed with a win and 2 losses. Probably wasn't enough to put them through, unfortunately. If we scroll back up to the top, wasn't enough, unfortunately. The season afterwards, though, straight back into the group stages. They get themselves all the way through there, beating Angers SCO in the qualifying round, the final qualifying round. A win against Slovian Bratislava, a loss to Galatasaray, and a loss to Hoffenheim. Doesn't bode too well for them, but they did beat Hoffenheim and Slovian Bratislava, so they're probably going to qualify again for the next season. But it's obviously the season we just had that. So we'll see next time what happens to them. But that's good performance as well. At least they're consistently making the group stage as well. So that's 2 teams we've got now making group stages of European competitions. We'll look at Dundalk. We'll look at Dundalk now as we scroll down, and they have a slightly better showing in their first season, getting through to the final qualification round, but lose to RZ 2-1 on aggregate, which is unfortunate. 2026 season don't feature there, so I suppose financial issues or something like that. Season afterwards, they're in it once again. Euro Cup 4th qualifying round, once again getting there, but losing to Lille 5-2 on aggregate. 2028 season don't seem to feature there again, so I guess financial issues are plaguing the side really. And then the season we've just had, they lose in the Euro Cup 3rd qualifying round to Villarreal. A tough draw that, to be fair. So no actual football in the European competitions, the later stages of it for Dundalk. Slightly disappointing, I suppose you might say, but at least we've had 2 teams there already. We can't be too greedy. Shamrock Rovers are a team that have also been up there quite a bit. They've been in and out a little bit, so I can't remember what season they have been there. 2025 season though, got to the 3rd qualifying round but lose to Rangers unfortunately. 2026 get into the 3rd qualifying round once again but lose to PAOK. 2027 nothing from then. I think they must have finished outside at that point. 2028 they get themselves through to the 4th qualifying round, agonisingly close but lose to Zenit overall. Won the first leg but were overcome in the second leg, so very unfortunate there. And then in the season we've just had, they're not in anything there. So, well, I expected more from Shamrock coming into this. I did expect more, but I mean, this is the beauty of the experiments. Things happen that you don't expect to happen, and things you expect to happen don't happen. So that's just one of those things, I suppose. If we go back again quickly, Derry have made it a few times, and Bohemians made it once. Sligo Rovers, I wouldn't have thought they'd do too much. We'll look at Derry City, but I don't think the teams will have done much in their one season there. They weren't in it in this season we've just had actually. If we go back to the 2025 season, Derry City not in it. 2026 get to the 2nd qualifying round but lose there unfortunately. 2027 lose to Sparta Prague once again at the same stage. 2028 get to the 3rd qualifying round but lose to Partizan Belgrade. And the season we've just had, nothing there as well. So I don't think there's going to be anything more from the Irish teams in this one, but it's nice to see that St Pat's and Cork City have been consistently making the group stages and flying the flag for Ireland, essentially. Right, then let's have a look at these Irish players then in the national squad. Barry Heaven is the best player in Ireland at the moment with a current ability of 174 and potential of 192. I feel like we did look at him last time out. We did, because he started at St Pat's, but moved to Tottenham on a free transfer. Ridiculously after his obviously contract expired at Shamrock Rovers, and has gone on to do some nice things at Tottenham. Not played too much actually, if we're being honest there, for his current ability. His current ability, we should put him as one of the best players in the world essentially, but he's not been playing too much at Tottenham. Conor O'Shea of Torino coming in as the next best player, followed by Shane Robinson, who we've spoken about already. We spoke about him last time as well. Started at Bray Wanderers before making a big move to Man City and then moving to Arsenal himself after barely playing at all for Manchester City, which I find very surprising considering his potential and actually his current ability as well, which is interesting. Conor O'Shea though is a regen of Limerick FC and has moved around from club to club but not really found his home apart from at Dundalk actually. Torino not really playing him all that much either, which again I find surprising at their current abilities and things like that. Quite a few players for St Pat's Athletic actually do play in the Irish national squad, which is pretty cool, and no one from Cork City, which is very interesting. Cork City are much more importers, where I think St Pat's are probably a lot more all about youth development and things like that. So that's interesting to see. We'll look at the under-21 squad though as well. As we look down at current ability, John Andrews is the best, but no one's got amazing potential ability actually. Jerry Furlong has the best at 162 by looks of things. We'll just sort it by that in case. Now Jerry Furlong's second best. Matt Upton is number 1, a St Pat's Athletic player. 101 current ability but 171 potential, which is very high to see. So he's a goalkeeper, he looks pretty nice. He should have a decent career ahead of him as Ireland's number 1 in the future. And Jerry Furlong also looking pretty good. Plays for Cork City. Is he a regen of Cork City? He's a regen of Limerick. Limerick seem to be making an awful lot of these players. They seem to be very good. If you want a good team to get youth players from, perhaps look at them in the future, because I'm not sure if you even gave them any money at all or things like that. Or maybe we did actually in the Premier League, so we probably did give him money. So ignore what I said about that. If you actually signed them as a feeder club, I don't think they'd actually be doing all that much for you. But Jerry Furlong, 17 years old, looks very nice to me. And then the under-19 squad, Tom Markham has got the highest potential at 159. Plays for UCD, so UCD finally getting a few decent plays. He's a goalkeeper as well. If they can keep hold of him, he's played an entire season nearly for them. Didn't do very well. in terms of average ratings, but had played a whole season, and I reckon he could be a star for the future, him. Right, we will look at the Irish results in international competitions. That's what we're excited to see. So 2016 won qualifying rounds, won more qualifying rounds in 2017. 2018 though, get to the World Cup. They do qualify but lose all their group stages, which is a bit poor really, especially to Uzbekistan as well. I mean, that is a very, very poor result for Ireland. Fast forward 2 years, they don't seem to get to the they get to the playoffs of the European Championships but lose to Austria there, so they don't qualify for the Euros. But they do have, it looks like an unsuccessful World Cup qualifying one, not doing particularly well there. Don't get to the 2022 World Cup. 2023, very, very mixed bag in the European Championship qualifying rounds there, and clearly don't get there at all. Following on from that, seems to do alright in the European leagues though for a little while. Do very, very well in the World Cup qualifying though for 2026, and do get to the 2026 qualifying rounds. Get through their group with wins over South Korea, a draw to England and a draw to Uruguay. Come up against Brazil in the second round, but lose in extra time. So that is, I mean, to be fair to play to them, they've suddenly got good in a way. If they're losing to Brazil in extra time, that's what I mean. 2 late goals there managed to get themselves back in the game from Daryl Horgan. But that's a better showing. That's what I kind of want to see from this development that we've got going on here with all the regions and things like that. And then a largely successful European Championship qualifying round there. And they get through into the championships, get through their group stage against Spain, Switzerland and Wales, but lose to the Dutch in the second round there. So at least they're getting there now consistently. The regens are starting to work, I suppose. You know, a lot of these high potential players are coming through and they're doing some good stuff for Ireland. So that's pretty nice to see as well. Right, that's the end of today's episode then. We're going to do one more episode of this. We're going to go quite far in the future. I don't know how far we're going to go yet. I'll just leave the computer simulating one day and just see where we end up. So if you've enjoyed today's video, please do drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and I'll see you next time for more Irish billionaire action.